It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures, and I'm your host, Bob Roth, and it must be Friday. And if you are just tuning in for the very, very first time, our show is about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And how do we do this? We bring extraordinary guests, and today's no different. I want to jump into this because our entire segment today is talking about skin cancer and dermatology and everything associated with the skin. And for those that don't know this, it's the biggest organ in the body, the skin, the epidermis. And how do I do this? I'm bringing two phenomenal guests here on the show right now. And then later on, I'm going to bring another doctor on, Dr. Patel. But today, right now, I want to introduce to you Dr. Dustin Mullens. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And I've got Dr. Andrew Newman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Bob Roth. Yeah.
Well, it's good to have you. And if you guys are both okay, can I refer to you as Dustin?
Absolutely.
And you as Andrew?
Certainly.
Perfect. Well, we live here in the Valley of the Sun. And the sun does wonders for us to get vitamin D. And I know that's something that my doctor tells me I don't get enough of, so I do a little bit of supplements. But at the same time, it has a lot of harmful, damaging characteristics to the sun. So, I want to talk about skin cancer, preventing yourself from getting cancer, and you guys are with Affiliated Dermatology. You guys are surgeons, so you see a lot of the stuff that's going out there. So I'm going to toss the baton over to you, Dustin. Tell me what's going on out there.
Okay, so to answer your question in regards to skin cancer prevention, for skin cancer prevention, this is a lifelong strategy, and it begins in childhood. And that starts with having sun protective clothing, avoiding the sun at the peak hours of the day. That's typically between 10 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We typically say if you can't see your shadow, then run. That usually means the sun's at its high point, and that's when it's strongest. Wearing sunscreen with an SPF 30 or greater. It's a broad spectrum coverage that's going to protect from the sun aging and skin cancer causing rays called UVA and UVB. And getting your annual skin examinations. In the Arizona area, we have a greater risk of skin cancer due to the higher UV index. Our geographic location places us at a higher risk, and therefore we typically recommend that individuals begin getting their skin examinations at a much younger age. So the prevention starts early. That's with your skin checks, your skin prevention, sun protective behaviors, and education.
I didn't say this at the top of the show, but these fine surgeons are here with me today, and they're going to be with me again next Wednesday. So on Wednesday the 25th from 1 to 2 o'clock at the JCC, and that's the Valley of the Sun Jewish Community Center, we're going to have a panel, and our focus is on skin cancer and really talking about some of the elements that we're going to talk about today. So when you get a chance, if you're interested in this at all, go to VOS, and that's V as in Victor, Valley of the Sun, VOSJCC.org/skin, and sign up for this great symposium that we're going to have on the air. And it's free, just so that you know. I want to toss it over to now Andrew. Tell me a little bit about what you guys are actually seeing. I know from a prevention standpoint, you bring up some great points, Dustin. I mean, the middle of the day, if you can't see your shadow, is the worst, and it's covering up. But are you seeing skin cancers in older adults, young adults, children? What are you seeing out there?
And that's a great question. In general, we see a lot of skin rashes, psoriasis, and whatnot, but because we're in Arizona here, we see a ton of skin cancer. So we see melanomas, non-melanoma skin cancers. Just to give you an idea of numbers, I mean, we are seeing about a melanoma a day, if not every other day. Non-melanoma skin cancer is even more common. Who's getting these things? So, yeah, you're more likely to get these things as you get older. You have more cumulative sun exposure, but that does not necessitate, your skin cancer. You do not have to be over the age of 30, 40, 50, 60 to get skin cancers. We have younger people than that getting melanomas. And if you've been living in a high UVA, UVB index for a while, like born and raised in Arizona, you are more likely to get a skin cancer in your younger ages, like 20 years old, even 30 years old. It's not uncommon.
So what are the things that we can do to prevent? You talked about clothing, Dustin. You also talked about SPF.
Absolutely.
Now I do know, and I've learned this, that beyond SPF 30, the difference is very marginal. So 30, I mean, some people are out there with SPF 50, SPF 100, and this stuff costs a lot of money.
Yes, it does.
But 30 should be more than adequate, right?
That's a good point that you make, and to tell you the truth, we're still learning in regards to what's the most optimal SPF level. We know what the minimum must be to prevent skin cancer, and that's an SPF of 30. However, we do not know if we go beyond SPF 50 if really there's any benefit. SPF 50 or greater than SPF 50, I should say, we believe has potential harmful effects beyond the benefit that we're receiving from the skin cancer prevention with that SPF level. So in general, we recommend between an SPF 30 and 50. I always recommend purchasing the one that's going to be the friendliest to the piggy bank, so to speak. And I like to use things such as Neutrogena products, which tend to run a little bit more cost-friendly, but you're right, they can be very expensive, and we keep that in mind with any of our recommendations for our patients. But there are some tremendously good and affordable options that are out there in that SPF 30 to 50 range. Above that, we tend to stay away from recommending that due to the potential harmful effects that it may cause.
Right. No, that's good to know. So from a frequency standpoint, I mean, how common is skin cancer here in Arizona?
Good question. So in Arizona, melanoma, in 2017, we had roughly 2,150 diagnoses of melanoma. That's not including the pre-melanoma, or melanoma in situ, we will call it. And those numbers, I would guesstimate, are in the ranges of 4,000. So we are seeing a significant amount. Yes.
And how bad is melanoma? Because I hear some horrible things about melanomas.
To give you an idea, breast cancer, I think we had around 5,000 diagnoses last year in Arizona. So melanoma is right behind it in terms of the number of people being diagnosed with it. And the difficulty with melanoma is a lot of times this is a pigmented lesion, or it could be apigmented without any pigment in it. It could be pink, but typically it's dark black, multiple colors, a little brown in it, and it will be irregular bordered, and it will be growing or just look different than their typical mole. But it can occur on a location that's not exposed to the sun. So we do see some sun-related mutations in the DNA and the genetic material of that melanoma when we sample it. However, there are some mutations that are just by random error, just a heritable defect that puts them at risk. It could be size of the mole that they were born with. If it's greater than 2 centimeters, it's going to be at a greater risk just in its size alone. If they have over 100 nevi or moles, that's going to place them at a greater risk just by probability. But these things can occur on the butt and the back, the thighs, areas
on your foot too.
Oh, absolutely. Less than 5% do occur on the palmar planar and under the nails. Generally, that's going to be in your more pigmented individuals. So we tend to place them in skin Fitzpatrick type, so olive toned and greater. But that's still very rare. And the difficulty with those in general are we don't make the diagnosis till late, because these pigmented lesions, like Bob Marley, he's a classic example. He thought he had an injury from soccer on his big toe. That was an old soccer injury. He actually died from melanoma.
Wow. Did not know that.
Absolutely. There's a little food for thought.
So we're talking about melanoma, and we're getting ready to round down our first segment.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you bring up Bob Marley.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about skin color. I mean, you know, lily white, Caucasian versus African American or Islander.
I like where you're going with this.
Brown skin. You know, Is there susceptibility?
Redheads in Scottsdale, Arizona are at 13 times greater risk of melanoma than the average person. So
13 times.
13 times greater risk of melanoma if you're a redhead.
Wow.
Freckles, blue hair, or blue eyes, blonde hair. You got a family history. These are all going to place your risk even greater. The risk for the general individual in the population is 1 out of 4 will have a skin cancer in their lifetime. But if you have those risk factors, then it's going to place you into a greater risk.
All right, so we're getting taken out by, I believe, a little Led Zeppelin. Thank you, Wes. I appreciate it. I want to talk a little bit more about who is susceptible to this. You've been listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. We're talking about skin cancer. I've got Dr. Andrew Newman here, and Dr. Dustin Mullens will be right back.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth. We're on our second segment, so if you missed our first segment, go up to cypresshomecare.com. On the top, you'll see a media button. Click on that, and the third button down will lead you to the radio shows. We've been on the air for now in our 5th year. We've done about 200 shows, and you'll be able to hear this first segment and obviously the rest of our show. So I only got these two doctors here with me for this last segment. So Dr. Mullens and Dr. Newman, I want to talk to you more about how to prevent this. And I think what little bit I know is screening, right? It's full body screening. So tell me about when you should be doing this. How do you do this?
Right. So screening is essential. By screening your skin, we're not going to be preventing those skin cancers from occurring. What we will be doing is catching them early if you do have one. That is essential. If we catch them early, we can take them out. We can essentially get rid of this opportunity for these skin cancers to become something more than you want them to be. They are very dangerous when they get aggressive and grow deeper into your skin. We get them early, boom, we're out, good, don't have to worry. And that's key. So screening is key. Come on in at any age. It doesn't matter if you're 5. It doesn't matter if you're 67. We have kids coming in. We have adults coming in, teenagers coming in. And it's important because everyone can get skin cancer. There's no age requirement.
I'll piggyback on top of that. So with what Dr. Newman was saying there, where we tend to catch skin cancers at an earlier stage if they're coming in for their yearly or semi-annually full body. When we see somebody that doesn't have a skin cancer, well, what would be the benefit of doing a screening? It allows us to have the opportunity to kind of assess their skin behavior habits, what we're seeing in terms of their sun exposure from what we're seeing on exam. Sometimes we're seeing some signs and evidence of significant sun exposure, and we may know that to be able to place them in a higher risk category, and we need to give them some good education. Education's so key in terms of prevention and changing the behavior of the patient.
Absolutely.
So I think that's where the true benefit comes in, not only making sure that there's nothing there that needs to be addressed, but also giving them education to be able to go out there and prevent these skin cancers from occurring or being less likely to occur down the road.
And it's interesting because you said at the end of the first segment, the population typically 1 in 4, so 25% are going to have some type of skin cancer. And we know that people that are redheads and have lots of freckles, 13 times more likely to have some type of skin cancer issue. So, screening is vital if you fit in that demographic. I haven't really talked about your practice. It's called affiliated dermatology. And if you want to learn more about it, go to AFF, and that's Frank, alphafrankderm.com. And you guys have 6 locations over here in the Valley, and every one of those you could do screening in, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We have a strong community impact and involvement with our groups. We're very skin cancer driven in terms of what our specialization in terms of the providers within the group like to treat and manage. but we do also have the founder of the Arizona Skin Cancer Foundation in our group as well.
Wow.
So we truly, from the top down, have the mindset and the interest to really aggressively manage and treat skin cancer and try to really educate our community with involvement in school systems, community events, doing these screenings, as a way of showing that we care about the community. We want them to have the best skin. We want them to enjoy the sun, but do it appropriately and with good protection habits.
You know, talking about screening, and I talked about it the first segment, we have a big event happening next week. It's on Wednesday, April 25th from 1 to 2:30 at the Valley of the Sun JCC. That's over there on North Scottsdale Road, 12701 North Scottsdale Road. If you want to sign up, it's vosjcc.org. That's valleyofthesunjcc.org, vosjcc.org/skin, or call them at 480-481-7024. It's a free event, and I understand that you guys are going to be doing free screening right there.
That's right, completely free. We're going to be looking at the skin that's exposed. We're not going to be taking off your shirt and pants, so don't feel afraid of anything like that. You're going to be getting your face
what if
looked at.
you want to take off your shirt and pants? You know, don't they say get naked 15 minutes a day in the sun, right? So
exactly right.
We're going to do it at the JCC. No, I'm just kidding. But you'll do a free screening. So if somebody has something that looks maybe abnormal on their neck, on their head, on their face, on their arm or foot, they can share that with you.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, that is awesome. Again, that's at the Valley of Sun JCC. And you can call 480-481-7024. And to learn more about affiliated dermatology, I gave out their website, but you can call them at 480-556-0446. So really talking about health. And, you know, one of the things that I got a chance to talk to you, Dustin, and you, Andrew, beforehand. I told you about a friend that had some surgery. And, you know, what's interesting was one of the things that I did share with you that I had a little bit of knowledge on is that so much is dependent upon the person in terms of how they heal from the surgery. But one of the things you did share with me, and Andrew, I think it was you, saying that if you're a smoker, that could pose even more problems for healing. And certainly, you know, I have a lot of doctors here on the show, and you know, we always talk about eating right, you know, exercise, getting sleep. I think, and I could be wrong on this, I think that all is the same thing for skin health, correct?
Oh, for sure, yeah. So, I mean, your overall health from mind down is going to affect your skin. If you are stressed out, your psoriasis will flare. If you have a car accident, you can actually get some eczema flare. If you are smoking, you can have worse outcomes with surgery. Your habits affect your skin, your mind affects your skin, and I think that's great that you brought that up because I think we're so focused on organs, you know, and only this tissue is going to affect this tissue in itself, but doctors are now starting to look at everything on a whole, and I think we're starting to really appreciate that, and that's good that you bring that up.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I just noticed, Andrew, you just finished your second bottle of water. So water is got to be a very vital part to the skin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're dehydrated, your skin's going to be dehydrated. You're going to be dry. This is the desert. Right. I mean, this is a place for lizards.
And used to be a place for dinosaurs.
Exactly. Right. So if you want to fit in with them, you know, don't drink your water. But otherwise, you know, get your water going.
You know, as we wrap up the show, I want to be able to at least give you guys the opportunity to share some final thoughts before we bring Dr. Patel on. Final thoughts, Andrew. You know, what is your message to our listening audience as it relates to skin health and preventing skin cancer?
I mean, I think a really important thing is that most of our patients, they come into our office with one concern, but we actually are concerned about something else. And that's something to have been said because there are things that you may not know are on you that need to be addressed. And so please do take it seriously. There is importance to looking at your skin, and come on in, and we are so happy to take care of you and look at your skin. So
there's not a whole lot involved. It's eyes and
it's simple
and looking. How about you, Dustin?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing I could always recommend people out there that are listening that haven't seen a dermatologist or it's been a long time, don't be afraid to go in and see a dermatologist. If you have a lot of sun exposure, you have a big suntan, don't be afraid to come in. You're a patient that we want to see. We can help you. We understand that you're going to be outside and active. We want people to be active and enjoy the outdoors. We will manage your skin. Come in the door. We'll take excellent care of you.
Prevention, protection, and early detection is really, really important. Again, I'm going to plug this event, JCC, Wednesday, April 25th from 1 to 2:30. It's free. You get free screening. Call 480-481-7024. It's halftime here at Health Futures. Thank you, Dr. Mullens.
Thank
you very much, Dr. Newman, for joining
Bob.
me today. Make it a great day, guys.